Okay. All right. Okay, I take that this is good evening, good evening, good evening. Oh wow, what a day it has been. I don't even know where to start, but I just this evening my younger son came home and was about his football practice. I was asking what happened at football practice, and he said that his teammates were doing something again that were just was the things they were doing were frustrating him. It was the same thing that he talked about on Tuesday. And then I asked him, how else could he have managed the situation without feeling or being so frustrated? And he said he doesn't that he told his coach, but the coach wasn't doing anything about it. So I said, okay, does what does that mean if the coach is the one that is the only one that can determine how it goes? What does that mean for him? And then he said it means that he doesn't have control over what happens. So I now said, okay, with that understanding, what do you do in a situation where you do not have control? How do you maintain your joy and your peace, regardless of the things that are out of your control? I just spoke to him about it this evening. And here I am literally trying to guard my peace because technology is not just technology for me, and it's really just been frustrating. I've had to start this live was supposed to have gone live by 7 o'clock. It's presently 7:35. I'm just doing and we're just starting. But I trust very strongly that we're going to have a really phenomenal time, and probably that is what is because of the how impactful this is going to be. Probably that's why there's some form of distraction. But we move to what we're here for tonight. We're here for the Reemergence Masterclass. And I want to thank everyone that for the Reemergence Masterclass. Really, really grateful that you did that. And I've just seen how different people are at different points of their emergence. Different people are Reemergence means different things to different people. And just looking through what everyone wrote, I was just looking through, trying to just quickly go through the the form again and just seeing that different people have different needs. Reemergence is actually different things, and it's important to recognize that because of this difference, we can't afford to do things like everybody else. We can't afford to want to reemerge the way someone else is reemerging. We have to understand what our own reemergence is and understand how to be committed to that reemergence process so that we are not overwhelmed or taken aback or just find ourselves in a situation where we don't have control over what we are trying to be in control of. So this evening I didn't have control over how the technology and how the internet and how just one thing or the other, either it was my sound that was going out or my volume was go or it just something just was not just right. But I am grateful to be back, and if you are here, share this live with someone, share this with someone, because we're going to have a fantastic evening. We're going to have a fantastic evening of exploring what re-emergence means, and I want as many people as possible to hang on to this, to latch on to this, to embrace this like they've never embraced it before. So, within your capacity, share this live to as many people as it needs to be shared with. And we're just going to jump right into it. For many as may have joined, and probably they weren't sure how what was going on, and I'm hopeful that you'll be able to catch. I trust that you can catch on this recording afterwards and just make the best out of it, because it is going to absolutely transform your perspective and transform your orientation. I'm going to quickly go ahead and share my slides and just what everything I want to talk about this evening. Yep. Welcome to the Reemergence Masterclass again. I am Stephanie Kadiri, but you can call me Steph Red. Welcome to the Reemergence Masterclass. And if this is your first time on my channel, you're welcome. This is Stephanie Kadiri, Steph Red's channel. And I do a whole lot of things. You can just read my bio to find out. But tonight I am talking Reengineering Masterclass. I am Stephanie Kadri, like I said, but you can call me Steph Red. Why? Because I love the color red, and I just thought I should include it in my name. Nothing exceptionally overboard. I am a trained linguist. I speak French and English, and I am a credentialed life and executive coach. I'm also a cognitive behavioral therapy practitioner. I speak French and English, like I said, and I've worked with in Anglophone, being privileged to work across Anglophone, Francophone Africa, and some parts of Asia and Europe. And self engineering is my core. I also love communication and I love to teach and just help people define a personal and corporate communication strategy. And I also organize a conference called the Resilience Conference, UR3 Resilience Conference. And we're going to be talking a bit about what UR3 means, understanding the framework so that it can help us to emerge. When I'm not doing any of these other things, I just love to sing, dance, and leave a happy chair and leave a good laugh with whoever is present to enjoy the laughter with me. But tonight we're talking the re-emergence. And this is really a reflective and practical roadmap to your relaunch, right? A reflective and practical roadmap to your relaunch. First of all, I'd like to do us to do a grounding exercise. I always like to do this. I mean, presently I need this grounding exercise because I have been so tense. I have been on the edge. I didn't just understand why after all the preparation and commitment and prepping, suddenly the network is being funny. And nevertheless, I'm just grateful that I'm here regardless. So, wherever you are, I'd like you to listen to yourself so that, and this is just a moment of respect for yourself. Listen to yourself with respect. And if you can, if you're in a safe place, you want to put both feet on the floor, put your both feet on the ground. We call this a grounding moment for those of us in the behavioral and behavioral therapy space, coaching space. We call this neuro linguistic programming space. We call this just a grounding moment. And then I'd like you to place your hand on your palms on your chest and take in one slow breath with in 4 counts, right? Take it on 4 counts. Hold for 4 counts and release in 4 counts. So we're going to do that again. Take one breath in 4 counts, hold it in 4 counts, and release in 4 counts. Just so that all the tension of either work or wherever it is coming from, or traffic, if you're in Lagos, traffic can be such a burn, can be overwhelming, or just work, or just a challenging day trying to put something together like I had this evening. This is a very good time to just catch your breath and breathe deeply and just relax that tension and stress that you may be feeling. So let's do that again. On 3 counts, 1 to go, 4 counts. We'll do that one more time. 4 counts in, relax. Let's do one more time. 3, 2, 1, go. Thank you. If you ever feel overwhelmed at any point, if you ever feel anxious, try this breathing exercise. It will relax. It will help you come to the center of yourself and help you to make more grounded and more less anxious decisions and feel less anxious or less burdened or less overwhelmed or less burned out in the moment, and progressively to give you keep you strong. Now if you are here, I mean, if you believe that you know in your heart that you have outgrown who you used to be, but somewhat uncertain about how to reintroduce yourself or to re-enter a new level, the level that you desire and believe that you deserve to be, then you absolutely deserve to be here. If you believe that it could just be the desire to change either a work level or a personal, deep-seated personal level, or an identity level, or a family level, or a status level, and you're not quite sure of how to re-enter from where you used to be to where you desire and believe that you deserve to be, then You deserve to be here. You should be here. So, just a disclaimer, if at any point, because I'm going to be talking about a lot of pertinent issues and deep seated issues, if at any point this conversation touches a place that feels overwhelming for you, please pause and just breathe. Do that breathing exercise that we started off with. And you can also send me a private message so that we could talk through it and just talk about it, right? So let's start from what is reemergence. Yes, it's the reemergence webinar, but what is reemergence? Now, two dictionary definitions, one dictionary definition, and my summary of what it is. It is the intentional process of returning into visibility, engagement, and expression after a period of withdrawal, disruption, loss, or transformation. That's what OpenAI describes as that. I say that reemergence is the respectful return of your genius or return to your genius after it has been refined in quiet, tested in adversity, and clarified in truth. So there is really no re-emergence without truth. Re-emergence is a demonstration of a truth that is significantly yours. So the question always is, what is the truth that sheds light on your re-emergence, or what is the truth of re-emergence? Because re-emergence means alignment with your truth. But I want to start off with these questions. Yes, I ask questions for a living. So I'd like to start off with this question. What are you re-emerging from? So for those that responded with different people, different feedback from the form, some just want emotional, mental, and physical alignment. So want alignments on different levels. But for whatever it is, wherever it is that you are trying to emerge from, what exactly it is. Are you aware? Is it? Because sometimes we say we want something, but we have not yet put it into proper perspective so that we can run more effectively with it. So, what are you re emerging from? But not as important as the next one. Where are you re emerging to? Many times I like to say that we always, many people, I like to say that everybody, not just many people, we seem to know what we're running away from. Sometimes we don't know what we're running away from, but more people know what they're running away from. Sometimes, even if it's a subconscious and they've not been able to name it. But worse off is not knowing what you are running to. Because when you have identified what you're running to, it's easier to determine how fast you need to run, when you need to take a break, what tools you require to help you run faster or slower, how long you are going to need to run for, and the strategies that you require to maintain through. Okay. So, quite importantly, where are you re emerging to? This is significant. Now, there are four stages of re-emergence, and I would like us to just go through it stage by stage. The first stage is the stage of permission, where you permit yourself to re-emerge. You must permit yourself to come to the surface. And that only happens when you have believed that you deserve it. If you don't believe you deserve to resurface, then you're going to stay in the place where you are, refusing to reemerge. And it's not just reemerging, but reemerging without needing to explain why, or even seeking external permission or validation to reemerge. So you have to give yourself permission for that. And when you allow yourself, you're also mindful to not be burdened by self-judgment or external opinions about, oh, it's not the right time to reemerge, or people trying to tell you when is the right time to reemerge or when it is not. Remember, I said that reemergence is an alignment with your truth, right? So you're not under the pressure of even trying to justify why you are submerged or justify your silence. You know that you already deserve to be here. So you are giving yourself the permission to be where you want to be without needing external validation. The second thing is you need to first reconcile with what has happened in between. So in the course of before your reemergence, what changed in you? Or what has changed in you that now requires a reemergence? What has changed in you that has changed you? Because if something has changed in you, it will significantly change you. It will impact you. So what has changed in you in you that has changed you? What has died quietly? That died quietly. It is a significant impact in your life. It has died quietly, but it's quite significant. What can you no longer pretend about? Hence, the reason why you need to re-emerge. Now, you need to be able to name the experiences accurately. Name the experience before your re-emergence. Because if you can't name it, you can't tame it. I like to say you can't tame what you can't name. If you want to tame it, then you must name it. Have named it, then it's easier to work out the strategy to tame it and then the following strategy to reframe it. So your in between is what has changed in you, that has changed you, what has died quietly, what can you no longer pretend about what has happened and what has shifted before the reemergence. The ability to identify before and afters would help you to recreate or create what should come after the after, which is now talking sustainability of your reemergence. The third phase of your reemergence is redefinition of your identity. Now, reemergence is not about, let me just pick myself back up and solve. No, it is you deciding how you want to show up from now on, how you want to stand out from now on. What's going to be different between how you used to be and how you now want to be? Who you used to be and who you now want to be. You are not who you were before, but you are now consciously becoming or re-becoming. So there has to be an awareness of the identity of who you're becoming and the intentional commitment to the process of rebecoming. Okay, so in doing that, you have to update your self-concept, your beliefs, your values, recover your voice and your standards, and then restate the limits or boundaries of your reach. It's no longer shrinking to remain relatable. It's no longer shrinking because of the uncertainty or because of the insecurity of the fear that left you where you were before you realized that you needed a reemergence. So just understanding that something needs to shift, the process of that shifting can only happen when you have begun to redefine what the new identity will look like. The next thing is intentional reentry. You don't just rush back into emergence, into old roles, into old access, into old relationships, into old expectations, into old rooms, particularly kinds of rooms that didn't serve you, into old associations, into old networking spaces. You have to reemerge with clarity, with a language that is uniquely yours, a language of your choice, because reemergence without intention will relapse. It's like someone trying to stop a habit. Imagine someone trying to stop a smoking habit and they just think they'll just stop it. If you don't put a strategy in place to stop and sustain, you would find yourself struggling. You most likely probably find yourself struggling, or then you now find yourself going back to where you came from, because you have to be intentional about the journey from start to finish, sustaining it in between and keeping it for the long term. Yeah. So before re-emergence, they were talking about re-emergence. We had talked about this particular word somewhere in between, but re-emergence, re-emergence, re-emergence. The only reason that re-emergence is important is because something happened. Is there anyone that can just type that into the chat room? What happened that needed re-emergence? What happened? What happens before the need for a re-emergence, rather? Is there anybody I'm trying to look for who can respond in the chat room? What happens before the need for re-emergence? Where were you before realizing that you needed to re-emerge? Anyone? See me looking through the chat to see who can answer me. Does anyone have an idea what re-emergence means? Rather, what precedes re-emergence? Okay, so let me just cut the chase so I don't keep us since we already lost time. Before re-emergence, there's submergence. The reason why you need to re-emerge is because you have been submerged, whether consciously or unconsciously. It could I actually even be a submergence, a subconscious submergence. Oftentimes it is subconscious. Oftentimes we don't even know that we have been submerged without our knowledge. Sometimes it is conscious, some other times it is not conscious. But just understanding what it is to be submerged, it is to be covered or engulfed, especially by water. Now, on a psychological and an emotional level, it is to withdraw, to silence parts of yourself, to reduce your visibility, your expressions, or your ambitions. Now, the typical causes of such things are loss. Loss could be the loss of a job, of a relationship of a loved one, which is leaving you in grief, in betrayal, in rejection. And then there could also be the public failure or humiliation that now makes you to withdraw or hide. And then there is the identity disruption. Then there's also chronic pressure or burnout. These are different typical causes of why people withdraw on the psychological and on the emotional level. Now, on the identity level, what happens is that you suspend your former identity, but then you don't consciously create a new identity. So you are in limbo. You are neither here nor there. The former identity has been poked at because of what happened. Those examples, those causes that the psychological has made you to stop. You are now in limbo to re-emerge. So you will now put your voice, your value, your confidence, and your leadership on hold rather than in full expression. Actions or reactions. These actions, rather, or reactions are often subconscious. Sometimes we don't even know when we do it. We don't know when we have unconsciously withdrawn, when we have unconsciously reclined, we have unconsciously shut down. And it's even affecting the people around us or the people that are connected to us, and we don't know that. And affecting us significantly. If not, let's leave the people. You can only serve the people after you have effectively served yourself and embraced yourself. But it's important to note, to put it here, that submergence is not weakness. It's just a protective response. It's now how you manage it that determines. Now, as humans, we often submerge to, we want to regulate shock, we want to process loss, we want to rebuild internal structure, or we want to preserve our dignity. Danger in staying submerged is it's when we stay submerged without a reemergence plan. That is where the challenge is. Where we stay submerged without reorientation or orientation. That's where the danger is. That was staying submerged. Submergence in itself is a withdrawal. It should not be a closure. It should not be a burying time and end of discussion time, a no future, no more exposure time. That's not what it should be. We can submerge, but we shouldn't stay submerged. Whether we choose the submersion, whether we choose the submergence, I beg your pardon, held to it by a disruption. So when you are submerged, you are no longer visible. You no longer exist. For example, when I was writing this, what came to my mind was people that have invisible profiles or statuses on social media, and their names are there. No, or probably they have followers, but their pages are a mute. There's no picture, but they're there. The fact that they are not visible does not mean they do not exist. They just choose to hide their picture, hide their real names, hide their profiles, mute their, what they call it, their WhatsApp status, put it on not, you normally to tick as read, but they just put it so that you will not know whether they read it or not. Now, the fact that their presence seems invisible does not mean that they do not exist. In the same way, the fact that you have been submerged does not mean like a seed falling to the ground and it put under sand stops to exist under the sand. No, it is if it now chooses not to grow out of the sand and re-emerge from the sand, that is when it will cease to no longer exist, right? So submergence is actually a survival state for us as human beings. It is not withdrawal, it is not silence, it is not loss of motivation, it is not identity confusion. It's just a moment of recalibration if we get it right. Submergence becomes harmful when it turns into self erasure, where you cut yourself out completely, where you erase yourself from existence because because of a disruption that happened, because of those earlier, silence becomes your identity. Protection or self becomes your prison. And it is not supposed to be so. So when such a thing happens, you want to ask yourself, and if that is where you are right now, I would like you to really just pause and ask yourself, why am I still here? What is making me cancel myself? What is making me want to erase myself? Why am I choosing silence over self expression? Why am I choosing blossoming? Rather, choose preservation and hiding and the prison of hiding over blossoming. Now, reemergence, your reemergence will begin when you begin to name the submergence. What is the submergence about? What made you to submerge? What was the disruption that triggered the submergence? Or if it was your choice, what made you decide that you needed to submerge? When you understand that, you need to now respect why it had to happen when it happened, whether it is within your control or not. Why did it happen when it happened? Choose a conscious return, not a forced one. So you shouldn't re-emerge because someone has told you you must re-emerge. Oh, everybody's re-emerging. Look at you at your age by now. What? You should re-emerge because you have recognized consciously that it is time, and you can no longer be in that place of hiding or that place of submergence because you have outgrown it. But we'll come to the point of we're going to talk about how to outgrow it. And then after you have come out, you've chosen conscious return, then you commit to the process of fully re-emerging. There's a process to fully re-emerging, and then you commit to that process. Now, how do I show up again? Now, sometimes we feel that our comeback has to be loud, it has to be busy, it has to be shiny, shiny, like that crab in Moana. Our reemergence has to be shiny, it has to be loud. They have to know that I didn't just submerge for nothing. They have to know that I'm back, bigger, better, stronger. Okay, so the network is a bit distorted for a bit, but I think we're back up right now. Yes, just I'm going to reshare. I'm going to reshare my slide. Just continue from uh where I stopped, and then we'll continue sharing from there. Sorry for that break in transmission. Very sorry for that break in transmission. Just going to continue from where we were. But just let me know whenever for those that are watching right now and those that are going to watch it later, let me just put in the chat what it is that you are, what we're talking about is what it means for you, what it is tugging at for you, what is happening at this moment, and what would you like to happen differently. What are the areas of reemergence that you particularly want to, where are the areas of emergence, I beg your pardon, that you particularly want to see the transformation happen, and what is holding you back? Or what does submergence mean? Where do you feel submerged still? And I was just about to talk about my submergence story. And so one of the things I want to primarily clarify at this point is that this is not trauma storytelling, and I need to really clarify that. One of the things that I know that I've seen that we do quite a lot in recent times is when we go for programs, and then programs where people are coming to share stories of pain that they've gone through. There was one I went for, and then one of the men said, by the time when you hear other people's stories, you know that there's no big deal with your own. But then it's almost like as though you now also carry the burden of the people's stories that you hear, and then it either leaves you weightier or heavier, but not quite, it's not resolved, so you're feeling heavy with someone else's burden. And the interesting thing now is you're not a burden, you have only gotten stuck with someone else's burden. So the thing now is, what was the point of really being there? So what we're doing today and what I'm talking to you about today is not trauma storytelling. It is transformational witnessing. And I want you to understand the difference, because I do not believe that anyone should share or talk about an experience that they have not healed from, except they're trying to get therapy, except they're seeking therapy, and you're actually speaking to someone who will not just say, hey, yeah, oh, sorry, it is well, but you're speaking to someone that can actually guide you out from that place and lead you to the place where what happened to you or what kept you submerged no longer has charge or power over you. Right? So that is where that is one of the things that we're going to be talking about tonight. So talking about the submergence story. My submergence story happened 9 years ago, January 13th, 2017, maybe 2026, maybe 9 years. And the submergence story was that from I was a way senior manager. I was a human resources manager, holding a significant position in a region. And it is the kind of thing where, you just feel I'm already in the C-suite. I'm heading there. We have it. We've done all the certifications, done all the things. But when I was fired from that job, because of how I saw myself in the job and how I felt I had given myself so much to the job, preparing myself for it and then delivering myself in it, I felt I didn't deserve that. And when the different patterns, different things we talked about, it shut down everything for me, everything, such that I saw nothing else. I honestly didn't see how I was going to survive without that job. It was so bad that I thought, what is the point if within the next few days, somebody had come to tell me that, don't worry, they will call you back by Monday. They will call you. This happened on a Friday. By Monday, they will tell you it was a mistake. Now, between that Friday and the Monday, and I gave myself another few days to the Thursday, when I saw that I wasn't going to get it back, I contemplated suicide. Now, remember I said that we're going to be talking about some deeply sensitive things here, and I'm going to hold your hands through this. I'm not just throwing the word suicide anyhow, but I'm using it with the intention to help somebody not make that decision if you ever have that thought, to make the right decision, to lead you in the right path so that you can make a more informed decision about yourself. Now, if I had gone ahead with that thought, I wouldn't be here talking about reemergence. But the reason I am able to talk boldly and confidently is because I understand submergence. I've gone through the process of submergence, and I have come out with reemergence, also a strategy that helps me to stay out and live out. Right? So while that is my submergence story, I'd now like to take you through the phases, the submergence process, so that you understand exactly what happened. Now, the first thing was the disruption. It was the disruption of being fired from a job. So for me, it was a job loss. What is your disruption? Your disruption may be a heartbreak. Your disruption may be the loss of a loved one or the loss of loved ones. Your disruption may be bankruptcy, that you just got bankrupt. Your disruption may be that you were disappointed by somebody you didn't think should disappoint you, or that you just felt had no business disappointing you. It could just be anything. I need to recognize that for me, what happened was that disruption dismantled my identity of self. It dismantled my certainty, because the job, the paid job, gave me financial assurance, financial security, and financial certainty. So when it was no longer there, it was dismantled. It also dismantled the structure I had built around my life. Now, even though all of these had happened, one thing I learned to recognize was that it did not dismantle my genius. It didn't take away my genius. It didn't take away my capacity or my calling or my giftings and talents. Now, many times when we face disruptions, we allow the disruption to blur our vision from seeing anything else. The truth is, there's always more to see beyond the incidents of what just happened. There's always more to see. And the moment you are able to begin to see yourself correctly, you wouldn't judge yourself so harshly in a moment of disruption. So when I came to the realization that I didn't lose myself, and what happens if it's a loss for you, you didn't lose yourself. You didn't lose yourself. Let me start from there. Rather, you lost the version of yourself that you tied to that thing. I lost the version of myself that I tied to the job. But instead, I thought that because I lost the job, I lost myself, right? So I lost the job and I felt I lost myself and life wasn't worth living anymore. But in retrospect, rather with introspection, I realized that as a matter of fact, I didn't lose myself. If anything at all, it was the self that was anchored to the job, the self that the job gave meaning, such that when the job was no longer there, I didn't have meaning. I didn't see meaning to life or meaning to existence. Hence, why that thought that could have led to an action, but I'm grateful that it didn't. Right? So recognize that whatever you may have lost, whatever may have happened, it is not worth it to say you've lost yourself. More, it is that you have lost the version of yourself that was tied to that thing. So what is the version of yourself that you are going to now re-emerge with that is not tied to things and people and places and titles and jobs and positions and status, but is anchored deeply in a genius and a God-given and calling that nothing can take away from you? Right? So that's a question I'm going to leave there for you to ponder on. The next thing is the deep. This is the depth of where submergence took me to, which I already talked about, which was the suicidal ideation. Now, that was really just a signal. It was a signal, the signal of end it. But the question you should ask yourself there, does it resolve a solution? Is that what I really want? Does that take it all away? Really, does it? Because we need to recognize it's really just a moment of psychological implosion. It is not the desire for death. It's just a psychological explosion. And we have to learn to be able to catch ourselves on that level, to recognize what is happening in our subconscious. So the truth was, and looking back at it, I didn't want to die. I just wanted the pain, the confusion, and the misalignment to stop. I just wanted the disappointment to go away. I wanted it to all be a lie. When I woke up the next morning after, and subsequent other mornings, like, let this not be true. Let me wake up and realize it was all a dream. And the more I woke up every morning and found out it wasn't a dream, it cut me deeper. And what I wanted to do was to take the pain away, the confusion of not knowing what next to do, the confusion of not knowing where else to go. But I didn't yet have the tools to translate that need. The thought of end it. And I'm grateful I didn't go ahead with that thought. Now, after the moment you are able to pause to recognize that it is not a solution. It's not a solution, and put yourself in the state of introspection. That was what I did. And what I literally did, I turned my thoughts to data, not to dictators, not to definition. What happens a lot that keeps us submerged and keeps us under is where we are turning data to dictators, where we're turning data, making data definitions. They're just thoughts. Thoughts are data. They're not definitions. So when you receive a thought, it is your responsibility to cancel the thought, replace it with a more positive thought, because your physiology, your biology responds to your thoughts. And if you are not able to catch it immediately, it becomes a thing. I frequently hear that thoughts become things. So before it gets to the point of becoming a thing, change that thought. Okay? Recognize that a thought is only but data. It is only but data. It is not a dictator. It is not a definition. The next thing was self-engineer, re-engineered myself literally. And this was where I redesigned my internal responses. I redefined what they needed to be. what I needed to hear myself say. I was now mindful. I started creating boundaries to be mindful of the kinds of people that came around my circle, because I was really fragile at the time. And that when you are in the state of submergence, you want to be mindful of the people you bring around your corner, the people you bring around your circle. You want to be careful. Speak to you or present to you what you see will either feed a positive reemergence or feed a negative submergence, right? So, action is the next thing. And I moved from survival to strategy, where I intentionally created a strategy to move me from the place of submergence to the place of reemergence. I did not heal by accident. I like to say I didn't heal by accident. I rebuilt by intention. So I'm throwing this to you now. Where are you? Where do you find yourself currently? Where you are submerged by uncertain of how to reemerge. You're uncertain about how to show up, how to resurface, how to re-become. You're uncertain about it. And you're just wondering what next. Let this Reemergence Masterclass teach you the steps and the phases and the process to go through the submergence process, and then to find yourself at the reemergence process. And the first, those are the processes, or the three stages of one of the three stages of submergence. Now, let us move to the stages of reemergence now. The first stage of reemergence is to unveil. Now, the unveiling for me, and I'm using how it worked for me, was first I realized that when I was submerged, the submergence hid every false identity that I had held, every unquestioned belief, and every borrowed expectation. So I needed to unveil myself to check for the false identities that I may have had, that may have come from being tied to that job, such that by the time the job left, I felt I didn't have an identity again. So if the identity left with the job, that means it was a false identity. If I felt my identity was tied to the job, then it means I had a wrong belief. I needed to question it. If I felt there was something about me that needed to be out there, and because of the job loss, I felt I needed to submerge, then I realized in unveiling myself that I had expectations borrowed from situations, people, or places that I needed to unveil to make it clear to me what is happening in my subconscious. The next was I reviewed. Disruption will always expose your patterns. It will expose your triggers. It will expose your internal languages, the kind of language that you never even knew you could utter. Disruption will bring it out. It will also bring out your decision-making defaults, how you typically make decisions. It will unveil a true side of you if you can be vulnerable enough to be true to yourself, to ask yourself the questions that matter. So in going through the process, you want to ask yourself, what are the patterns that have brought me thus far? What are the triggers? What are the internal language? What are the decisions that I now need to review? And after I have reviewed them, I need to now redefine consciously who I want to choose, the kind of patterns I want to choose, the kind of triggers I want to intentionally manage, the kind of decisions I want to consciously make. Who I was without the role was what, and so I consciously chose who I was, I consciously decided who I wanted to be outside of the role or the job role that I lost. What will success mean to me now? What will success mean to me in the future? And meaning in its raw form, what is meaning to me? What is meaning for me? And just understanding meaning on that level, redefining on that level helps us to have better clarity into who we want to become and where we want to get to. And then finally, I relaunched. Now, this relaunching is what the real re-emergence is. This is where re-emergence actually is. This is what re-emergence actually is. It's not rushing back to where you were. It is not proving anything to anybody. It's not trying to return to do the things that you had not done in a long time because you were submerged. No, it is returning on a different path right now, rooted, regulated, and resolved. You are rooted in a groundedness that is uniquely yours, in an identity, in a truth that is uniquely yours, and you have a resolve to stand in that truth, to relaunch in that truth, to engage with that truth, and to let other people come to believe that truth. So hence that is where the entire UR3 came from. It is reemergence. Reemergence in itself is just a pure art of resilience. So you cannot reemerge without being resilient. If you want to reemerge, you have to be resilient. If you are resilient, then you must progressively emerge. Emerge, re-emerge, re-emerge through the phases of life. And resilience is not performance. Instead, it is living in alignment. Resilience is not performance. Alignment, recognizing that there must be a harmony between what you are showing forth as, and how you see yourself within, and how you want other people to see you without. Right? That is entirely what this entire thing about reemergence is about. So wherever it is you are, my question to you now is, where have you been, or where are you still being submerged? Where have you been? Where? Type it in the comments section. Where do you feel you are still held back, submerged, and where do you believe you have to now be, that you now need to re-emerge into and then flourish in? Remember, I said resilience is not performance. Instead, it is living in alignment. In the same way, reemergence is an alignment with your truth. Hence why I said resilience and reemergence go hand in hand. They work with each other. When you're resilient, you progressively reemerge. When you reemerge from a place of resilience. They work hand in hand, hand in hand. So the question I want to ask you is, oh, excuse me there, right? So first of all, let us know exactly where it is that we are between our reemergence, our submergence, and our reemergence. Where do we want to be? So I believe in question, and one of the things I talked about said one of the things that will help you move from where you are to where you want to be is the ability to ask questions, and ask the right questions that will help you bridge the gap between where you are and where you desire to be. So what is keeping you submerged? Where do you want to get to? When do you want to get there? Why is it important for you to get there? What needs to happen for you to begin to go through the processes and the stages of submergence to re-emergence, and how do you need to get it done? When you are asking those questions, you're digging deep into the root cause, and it's going to begin to help you to submerge, to re-emerge on a totally new level. So, where are you now on your re-emergence journey? That is the question I am asking, and I'll just like to see. Let me just see what is happening in the comment section, and see how that is. Let me just see there. So do sending, whether you're able to send it now or you're not now, or you're able to send it later. This is a good time for you to and so this is a special invitation for you to just typing there what is shifting, what needs to shift, what needs to emerge. Come to the truth of the emergence that you seek for yourself, and then begin to ask, what am I going to start doing now? What do I need to start doing now? And one of the things I'm recommending, I have to recommend this for y'all, is to immediately take advantage of the bundle that comes with this masterclass, and is uniquely at a discount for all those that registered. Is uniquely at a discount, and then just even if you're just joining, that's okay. It's uniquely at a discount, and you want to take that. But we're just going to close out with some things. I'm going to take us through some really important things that I need you to pay attention to. Let me be sure. Can you still see my slides? Let me show you can still see my slide, please. Okay, I think I need to reshare that. Okay. Okay, still talking about the how we ask the questions. I was talking about asking questions. Now that I talked about self-reengineering, and I can't as much as say you can re-emerge without tools, and which is why I'm giving you these tools to help you to to help you re-emerge. And the to help you re-emerge is this self-reengineering tool. I believe you can always come here to see this. And this self-reengineering tool is just the roadmap that I literally had to design to help me get out of that place of submergence where I had to discover myself. You remember we talked about how recognizing the identity that was lost is the identity of you that was anchored to that thing that you lost, not your true identity yourself. So when you hit a disruption, one of the things you want to do is quickly go back to the place of discovery of yourself to recognize significantly who you are at the subconscious level, at the neurological level, who you are subconsciously, who you now want to show up consciously, right? And just go through these 7 phases of self discovery to self awareness to self appreciation to self improvement, self application, I beg your pardon, self evaluation, and then self mastery. And when you hit self mastery on that level, you realize that, oh, I have achieved this level. I have emerged on this level. What other level do I need to re-emerge in? Now, emergence, so as long as you are alive, emergence is a continuum. You don't just emerge and pause. It's you emerge to one level, and then when you reach there, you ask yourself, do I want to remain here? Do I want to remain the same, or do I want to change? Do I want a new form of emergence? While on that level, you now go, when you ask yourself that question, then you now decide, oh, if I want to stay there, okay, I stay there. If I don't want to stay there, I go to the next level. When I get to that self level, that new level, I need to go back to this, which is discovery on a new level. That time of discovery is a submergence time, not submergence for closure or for self erosion, but submergence for self discovery on a new level to understand how to show up stronger on a new level, how to show up more impactful on that new level. So for every time you re-emerge, you go back to discovery, to re-emerge, to build yourself on to ground yourself. You see, the discovery is wide, the mastery is tiny. So you can't use the tiny apex of one level to become grounded on a level that is higher than that apex. You need to build grounding. So you find grounding again on that new level, and then you build to mastery, and then you find grounding on another level, you build to mastery. Hence, while grounding on every new level is important, re-emergence is inevitable. So you keep re-emerging. I hope that is clear. You keep re-emerging. Now, in this journey of discovery, the journey of emergence and re-emergence, you need to recognize that no way is the way, right? You keep Sometimes you will hit a brick wall. I like to respond to this. I like to say, be like Google Maps. When you hit a crossroad, or when you hit a brick wall, reroute. Keep rerouting from the center of your truth. Keep rerouting from your place of internal alignment. Nothing means anything except the meaning you give to it. That means regardless of how life happens, the interpretation you give to it will determine the outcome of your life. So if, for example, the data, the thoughts that should have just been data, if I had turned those thoughts to definition, or I had turned those thoughts to dictate how my life should be, then the meaning of my life would have been as a result of how I interpreted the situation. So it's important to always interpret our situations correctly. It's important to always give the meanings, intentional meanings, in alignment with a recognition of who we are, the truth that we know about ourselves. And then trust the process. The process is then say the process is in the content. Just trust the process, the doing the work, the showing up, the putting one foot in front of the other, starting up. I'm going to be sending you tools. I'll just help you know how to move from point A to point B and from point B to point C, and just keep showing up. And then recognize that emotions drive people, emotions drive you. And so in things that submerge you tug at your emotions, they trigger your emotions. And you have to be able to know how to navigate your emotions effectively so that they do not overpower you. So, what I'm leaving with you today is, what is one behavior that you want to start, stop, or strengthen as a result of this Reemergence Masterclass that is going to help you actually reemerge successfully, that is going to help you evaluate your submergence window moment if correctly, and then re-emerge effectively. I'm recommending that you get the Reemergence Masterclass. So it's there. The link to the masterclass is going to be in the caption, and there's also going to be the discount code for you to get this. Now, if you're going to check each of the things in the bundle, they're actually way more expensive, but for the sake of this masterclass and for those that really do need to re-emerge from the place of submergence, it's at a discount. So you want to go for it. You want to ensure that you commit to the process. Listen, the work has to be done. It's I know we are sometimes, particularly in Africa, we're very prayerful people. Prayer will not do the work that you're supposed to do, right? So when you have prayed, then you have to, it's just like how a farmer, instead of going to the farm to put seed in the ground and to intention and to consciously water it and prune it to ensure that grass doesn't or encroach on it, he doesn't do anything, sits and is praying, or just drops the seed on the ground, doesn't tend it, and watch over it, and it's just praying. No, you have to put action to your prayer. If you're the praying person, you have to put action to your faith, put work to it, and put your entire belief in it, and that is when it would work. So all of this I've just told you now, I'm able to share this because I put in the work, and that's why I have been able to move from where I was to where I am, where I can gladly share how I have reemerged and why I want to help more people reemerge as well. So recognize that no matter what comes, sometimes we may think that is impossible. It's not. It's just, is there anything I tell myself I am possible? I mean, when I started this, webinar, this masterclass, technical challenges. I mean, it literally threw me off board. I was going to say, let me just cancel it. But then I said, no, I said I was going to do it. When I say I'm going to do something, I do it. Were there challenges? Yes. Were they within my control? No. They were out of my control. But does it mean that I will not do what I said I was going to do? No, I will do it and trust that I will do it well. Did it shake me? Yes. Did it stop me? No. And I'm telling you that things may shake you, but don't let them stop you. Things may come in your way, but don't let them break you. Things may make you submerge. Don't waste the pain and the time of that submergence. Turn that submergence into a great reemergence, recognizing that you are possible. You have it in you to reemerge again and again and again. So I like to say that no matter what comes or goes, what gives in or doesn't, like today that the network wanted to mess me up and the technology wanted to throw me overboard, I never give up until I win. And you know what? I'm particularly excited at this moment that I did not give up on this webinar because of the challenge of how it started. I didn't allow it break me. I didn't allow it burn me, but I stuck it through with it till the end. And I trust that whoever listens to it is going to be greatly inspired to take charge of their lives and to turn it to gold and to move them from where they are to where you ultimately desire to be. So no matter what comes or goes, what gives in or doesn't, you never give up until you win. And even if you don't win, you finish strong. Because once you have finished strong, Steph said so, you have won. So you take great care of yourself. I mean, if there are questions, this is the end. This is the end of the masterclass. Yay! It's me clapping for myself and just so grateful that I came through on it. I'm really just so grateful that I was able to do it, and just really, really excited and thankful to everyone that joined, and apologize again for the glitch that we suffered. Absolutely apologize for that. And then just thank you for sticking through. Yes, we kept it within 1 hour. It should have been less without the disruptions, but just grateful for everyone that turned up and everyone that participated in it. So I'm going to drop the link to the bundle that you can get. Make sure you get it, and then drop a message for me and anywhere on my social media handles. I'm going to be able to get get it some way somehow. So you take great care of yourself. I am Steph Fred, and hey, I'm always here. If you have more questions, drop it from me somewhere. And we're going to be having more of such lives. I liked. This is my first. This is actually my first YouTube live, and I'm looking forward to doing more of this through the rest of the year. So you take care of yourself. Cheers.